Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we're going to be finishing the Splendid Instructions to the Mind by Raghunath Das Goswami with commentary by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And if you missed some of the other sessions, is this available online, what you're recording here? Where is it available? Okay, everybody hear that? ISKCON Naperville channel, YouTube. So you can find the other sessions recorded there. Also, you can go to my website, and then you'll find sessions that were recorded other places. So you can check that out also. All right, let's go through a little bit. And do we have our other mic? Let's see if we can review what done so far. So, our first 3 steps. Step 1 was to have what? Attachment. Unprecedented and excessive attachment for Guru, devotees, holy place, holy name. What else? Process of surrender. What else? And mantra. And other thing is we should make an effort, right? Effort and give up. Which is the main running themes. Okay, and step 2. That was step 3. Step 2. Give up the identity, dharmic and adharmic identities. Okay, and what else was in step 2? That is the dharmic and adharmic, giving up that false ego. That's 3. So 3, we had the Pratijanur, patient when? How much patience? Life after life. And you said follow what? Good. Follow Swarupa, Rupa and Sanatan. Okay, anybody remember what else for step 2? Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. And one more. Anybody remember the other thing for step 2? Guru as whose friend? Krishna's friend. And the other thing for step 3? Raga. Okay, so those are the 3 qualifications, although they're also steps. They're also steps because you can have attachment, but you might still have a dharmic identity. You could have a dharmic identity and still be impatient. So these are steps. They're progressive steps. All right, now we come to the obstacles. So 4th step, what was the obstacle of? Sound, yes, it's obstacle sound, which was represented by, well, speech, yeah, but what were the metaphors? A prostitute and a tigress. And how do we conquer those? Yeah? Okay, he gave the analogy of a jewel. So you have a jewel of service to the divine couple. And that conquers these. Okay. Then in 5, actions. And the metaphor was thieves. Is it I before E or E before I? I. Okay, thieves with rope. And how do we conquer that? Calling for the devotees. And that conquers that problem. Okay, then the next problem was of what? Mind. Hypocrisy of the mind, and that was represented by what? Donkey urine bath, everybody's favorite. Favorite verse, especially of like the 8, 9, 10-year-old boys who attend the seminar. And how do we conquer that one? You take your mind and put it in the ocean of love. You take a bath in the ocean of love, which we talked about with 4 steps. All right. Then the next obstacle is of the heart. Right? The desire for honor, for being a devotee. And what was the symbol of that? The wild, disloyal woman, what's she eating? A dead dog. So a dancing, disloyal woman eating a dog. And what's the cure? Okay, what do you have to do for Krishna's army generals? Serve them. Serve Krishna's army generals. Okay, those were the obstacles. Then we have the turning point in Manah Siksa. And there, the devotee asked for 3 benedictions. What were those? Mercy. To conquer what? Mercy to conquer wickedness. Next. Good. Revelation of our eternal service and form. And the last one. Shelter of Radharani, shelter of the internal energy. Okay. Okay, so when we have this shelter, we engage in meditation. And who do we meditate on? The same mood as ours. And who was Raghunath Das Goswami's meditation on? Radharani. Who else? Who else? Govardhan and Radhakund, and one more. Krishna. Okay, so now we're looking at today's where it's again meditating. And as I told you, of these 6, Krishna, Radharani, Vishaka, Lalita, Govardhan, Radhakund, who is Raghunath Das Goswami especially want to meditate on? Radharani. So this verse is going to be meditation on Radharani. And then the 11th verse, he's going to give us actions. Which we'll fill in later. Okay, we can chant together. Ratim Gauri Lileya Pitapati Sonjarya Kiranai Shachi Lakshmi Satya Paribhavati Sobhagya Vachis Karais Chandravali Mukhanavina Vrajasati Shipyatyaradyatam Haridayitaradham Bhajamanaha. O mind, offer your worship unto Sri Radhika, the beloved of Lord Hari. She outshines Rati, the wife of Kamadeva, Gauri, the wife of Lord Shiva, and Lila, the potency of Lord Vishnu, by the effulgence of her beauty. She defeats Sachi, the wife of Indra, Lakshmi, and Satya, Krishna's wife, by the waves of her good fortune. She defeats the pride of the newly married gopis of Vraja, headed by Chandravali, through her power to control Krishna. So Krishnadas Kaviraj nicely explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, but for the sake of pleasure pastimes, they separate themselves eternally. So of course they are one eternally also in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So many times people say, is God male or female? And our answer is, well, both really. God is complete, Om Purnam. So he's complete, and as complete, he is both the perfect male and the perfect female, although we can say that ultimately God is male. God is Krishna, and Radharani is his energy, energetic and energy. Now, it says that the personality of Godhead eternally enjoys a bliss of his own potency, which is called the Ladini potency. So this is the Lord's energy of pleasure. We say that the Lord is full of pleasure, Satchit Ananda, and this is his energy of pleasure. Whenever we talk about pleasing the Lord, we're going to please Krishna. We're going to do this to please Krishna. That means that we are uniting Krishna and his energy of pleasure. That's what it means. So if you're worshiping Narayana, it means you're uniting Lakshmi and Narayana. If you're worshiping Ram, you're uniting Sita and Ram. You're worshiping Krishna, you're uniting Radha and Krishna. You're bringing together this personal. Everything in the spiritual world is personal. Actually, all the emotions of the devotees are personal. If they feel shy, that shyness is also a person, which is a little interesting. Can you imagine if all your emotions were separate people also? So the Lord's, might be a little confusing in this world if that were the case, but the Lord's energy is also a person. And whenever we're talking about pleasing Krishna, that's what we're talking about. In this world, we have a desire to enjoy the opulences for ourselves. Isn't it? Yes? So whether as Radha, Sita, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, called the goddess of fortune or the goddess of opulences. So what are the 6 opulences? Knowledge, Wealth, actually the Sanskrit word for wealth is Aishvarya, and Aishvarya has to do with Ishwara. So the opulence of Aishwarya is not just money, but it's also, what do you think? Control, power, yes. So what else? Fame, and this is interesting, although sometimes the word kirti is used, more often the word yasha is used. Yasha is the kind of fame you get from doing dharma. It's explained in the 12th canto that the Lord is fanned with 2 chamaras, one of yasha and one of dharma. So when you do good, when you get fame because you've done good things. Whereas kirti just means people are talking about you. It's related to what word do you think? Kirti, talking. Kirtan, related to kirtan. When we're doing kirtan, we're speaking or singing, glorifying. So kirti means the fame you get from other people saying good things about you, but you might get kirti without yasha, you understand? People could talk about you even if you hadn't done anything good. So this opulence is really yasha. Okay, what else? What are the other opulences? Strength. Strength is virya. Virya is also very much associated with masculinity and sexual prowess, with potency, power. What's another opulence? Said beauty, Stri, which is of course a name for Radharani herself. It's also called Stri. Expansions. Actually, this Stri not only means beauty but splendor. What else? Renunciation, vairagya, which is of course one of the most interesting of the opulences. Without vairagya, without renunciation, the other opulences are not very attractive. If someone is beautiful and wealthy and famous, but they're very arrogant, it's not so attractive, isn't it? Right? Some detachment. Also, the opulence of detachment is very interesting because it's the only one that no one can take away from you. You know, our beauty can be gone in a moment, isn't it? Some disease, some accident, and all of our beauty is gone. Same with our strength. We can use all of our strength and potency in a moment. We can certainly lose our wealth in a moment. Nowadays, a lot of us just have wealth that are just numbers on a screen, you know, not actual goods. And so just some fluctuation in the market. I know one devotee, 2008, he said, I've lost half my wealth. It used to be if you lost half your wealth, it means half your cows died. You know, now just the numbers change on the screen. And what to speak of fame, especially with modern communications, your fame can turn to infamy in about a billionth of a second, right? Or you become a nobody immediately. Knowledge, we can lose all of our knowledge, again, a stroke, you know, a car accident. But renunciation is not something that someone else can take away from you. It's interesting opulence, the opulence of renunciation and freedom. But those are all, when we want to enjoy those opulences, separate from Krishna, when we want to enjoy them ourselves, that means we want to be Krishna, you understand? It means I want to be Krishna and I want to possess opulences. That's our main material problem, is that I want Radharani to belong to me. I want the goddess of fortune to be my property. And it doesn't matter which opulences you want to enjoy. If you say, well, I'm not interested in wealth and power, I'm not interested in Aishwarya, I'm interested in Vairagya, but that's also an opulence, you understand? Or I'm interested in Gyan, that's also an opulence. These are all, in fact, we're going to be talking, Krishna willing, this afternoon about Varna. And we're going to be focusing this afternoon on how to find meaning and value in your Varna, in your work. But if you want to know which Varna do I belong to, a part of the understanding is what opulence do I like? Which of the opulences what makes my life rich? And one is not only rich in money, isn't it? Money is it's not the only kind of wealth. It's certainly nice to have money. Most people want to have at least some, but that's not the whole measure of whether or not your life is rich. Does that make sense to everybody? So generally we want all 6 opulences, but we have some particular liking for particular opulences. Some people especially like beauty. Some people really don't care about beauty. Some people really like knowledge. They're always curious, they're always learning. Other people just don't care. Yeah, they're satisfied knowing a few things and going on with life, isn't it? Some people really want to have leadership and authority and power. Other people don't care. They're happy just to have their own little life. So these have some indication of our nature. But regardless of what our nature is, when we want to enjoy separately from Krishna, it's like we're trying to steal Sita. We're trying to steal Lakshmi. We're trying to steal Radharani. So how does that work out for us when we try to enjoy these opulences separate from Krishna? How does that work for us? Does that work very well? How much enjoyment do we get? Very temporary, very, very small, isn't it? We have this experience that when we try to enjoy these opulences separately from Krishna, we get some, there's something. It's compared to a drop of water in the desert. You know, if you're very, very, very thirsty, I'm sure all of us have been extremely thirsty at some point in our life. I remember one time we were visiting Radhakund and it was very hot. It was April, end of April. It was really, really hot. And in those days, they didn't sell bottled water. We had to have a canteen with us. Do any of you even know what that is? I don't know if anybody brings canteens anymore. It was like a metal container that you filled up with water. Yeah, so we had two of them, but our rickshawala in Puri had begged one of them from us as payment. He said, I want something from America. So we had given him one. So we only had one canteen and it was empty. We were really, really thirsty. And if someone had come with an eyedropper and put, you know, a little drop of water, it's actually just frustrating, isn't it? That little bit of pleasure, it's not satisfying, it's more frustrating. So when we try to enjoy the pleasure potency of the Lord separate from the Lord, we simply feel more frustrated. What's interesting, however, is that Krishnadas Kaviraj explains that the Ladini potency, Srimati Radharani, not only does she give pleasure to Krishna, but she also nourishes Krishna's devotees. So when we're in our proper position, we do get pleasure from the pleasure potency. It's not that we're just arranging for Krishna to get pleasure and we have nothing. It's not that Krishna is some sort of a dictator like a Hitler or an Idi Amin or somebody like that, who just uses people as very cheap or slave labor for his own wealth and power and gives the people working for him little or nothing. When we say Krishna is the enjoyer, Bhaktaram, it doesn't mean that we don't enjoy. Many times you find devotees get into this idea. They think, well, if I'm enjoying my service, it's Maya. I shouldn't enjoy my service. My dear friends, that is a Buddhist idea. So the Buddhists teach that ultimately we don't exist. And if you go to a Buddhist master, a real one, then they'll have you do things that you hate. They'll engage you in work that you don't like, because they're trying to break any concept of existence. But that's not what Krishna says. Krishna says, I want you to do work that you like. I want you to work according to your nature. I want you to work according to what's pleasing to you. So Krishna wants all of his part and parcels to be happy. I mean, come on, we're like that. We want every part of our body to be happy, yes? We want our fingernails to be happy. We don't want to have sick fingernails, toenails. I mean, even a very insignificant part of our body, yes? Our toenails, very insignificant. I guess unless you paint them or something, most of us don't think about them very much. But yet we want them to be happy, right? If we have some little tiny pain in some part of our body, it's distressing to us. We don't just say, well, you know, it's just my little finger, who cares if there's some pain there. So Krishna wants all of his part and parcels to be happy. I mean, even a materialistic business person, do they want their employees to be happy or unhappy? happy. Why? Because then they'll work harder. And they'll make more money. I mean, it's only really demoniac persons who want those who work for them to be unhappy. You have to be like deep in the bottom pits of the mode of ignorance to think like that. Even most social animals, they want the other animals in their group to be happy. So Krishna wants to share his happiness with the living entities. In fact, Prabhupada says this is the main difference between material and spiritual. So the difference between material and spiritual, material doesn't mean a car, and spiritual doesn't mean a Himalayan cave. It says the difference between material and spiritual is material, I'm happy when others are unhappy. And I'm unhappy when others are happy. He said we may speak differently, but that's actually how we feel. You know, I mean, you can have a nice house, but mine has to be a little nicer. You know, just a little. You can have a good job. I have to be making at least a little bit more money. My spouse has to be a little bit more attractive. My children have to get a little bit better grades in school. You know, you can have your happiness as long as I have more. And we really, you know, if somebody goes above us, and this is even true in Krishna consciousness, if we find a devotee making a lot of advancement, we become disturbed. I had somebody writing me, you know, how come the demons get liberated? It's not fair. I'm working so hard in my Krishna consciousness and I'm still not liberated, and these demons get liberated. And not only do they get liberated, before they get liberated, they're enjoying the material world. So it's completely unfair. That's what this guy wrote me. He said, you know, these demons Krishna kills, they're enjoying so many women, and I don't even like my wife. That's what he wrote me. I'm not making this up. And they're enjoying all material opulence, and then Krishna kills them and they get liberation, and I'm not even happy in the world, and I don't even think I'm going to get liberation. So that's not fair. I said, yes, we are all envious. He says, no, I'm not envious. I said, okay. So that's materialistic thinking. Materialistic thinking is I'm happy at others' unhappiness, and spiritual thinking is I'm happy at others' happiness. That means it's spiritual. Spiritual means, that's the definition of spiritual, I'm happy at someone's happiness. So if that's the definition of spiritual, then Krishna must be like that unlimitedly. So Krishna is happy at others' happiness. Therefore, Srimati Radharani is also nourishing all the devotees. When we act as a catalyst to connect Radha and Krishna, then we are also nourished by Radharani. I mean, just simple example, when my hand takes food, right? My hand takes food, just like this morning, we had some nice idlis, so my hand took the idli and put it in my mouth, and my hand's also happy. You understand? It's very simple. My hand says, okay, I'm going to unite Urmila's stomach with Urmila's happiness by putting this idli in the mouth. And then, I also become happy. When we unite Krishna and his pleasure energy, then we feel, guess what we feel? We feel, you're not going to believe this, we feel the same thing that Krishna feels. Prabhupada says we enjoy through Krishna. He's talking, it's the lecture, Nectar Devotion, 72, 73. And what does Krishna feel? He's Akila Rasamrita Murti. He's the form of all rasas. Oh yeah, all rasas, those are the 12, right? So that's neutrality, servant, friendship, parental, conjugal, comedy, fear, disgust, wonder, compassion, chivalry. So it's not just that though, because each living entity has their own relationship with Krishna, right? When Lord Brahma saw that Krishna had duplicated the boys and calves, why was he so overwhelmed? He was seeing Krishna's potency, which was amazing. Why else was he overwhelmed? Because he had underestimated Krishna. He thought he was a little boy. Why else was he overwhelmed? Yeah, he thought, I'm in charge of the secondary creation. Where did these boys come from? What else? Why else was he overwhelmed? Yes. Oh, that also, when he saw the loving relationship between the townspeople and their sons who were actually Krishna. Yes, definitely. Why else? He also saw a lot of other Brahmas, yes. That was a little tough for him. As another Leela with that also in Dwarka. Why else was he? Just completely, he fainted. Well, he had been envious a little bit, not much. He's a great devotee, but he had been a little envious. Not once he saw all that, though. Ah, so now he was really seeing Krishna's wonderfulness and he was overwhelmed. But why else? There was something, he said, there's something going on here that's impossible. What was impossible? Oh, yeah, he was also pretty astonished at that Krishna was eating with his left hand. Oh, that Krishna was enjoying his own potencies and expansion. Why else? Was Lord Brahma, he just said, what's happening here is impossible. What was impossible? And actually, it wasn't really happening, but it looked like it was happening. And this gentleman pointed out why it wasn't really happening. Okay, you're really close now. You're within like a fraction of an inch. Well, that certainly, but that wasn't impossible. Now you're even closer. You're within a hair. The soul cannot be created or destroyed. It seems these souls are being created. Very, very close. Almost. I should have prizes. Do we have like Maha Sweets? Give us prizes. She said, how were they in two places at once? Yes? Yeah, well, that's there, but that wasn't impossible. I'm the creator. How could someone else create? Yeah, but that's not impossible. But something was impossible. Why couldn't you have the cowherd boys in two places at once? Well, souls can expand, but these were not expansions. These were two, yeah? Yes. So why is that impossible? Because every living entity is unique, yes. And what you pointed out, that the mothers love their children. So they weren't really identical, were they? What was different between the original boys and these expansions? The love was different. The relationship was different. So they weren't actually fully identical. You can't have two jivas identical. Krishna is what I like to call a variety man. I mean, even this body exists in universal time for 8 billionths of a second. And we have unique DNA, unique fingerprints. Even if you're identical twin, you have unique fingerprints. That's just the body. Right? Each snowflake is different. Some parts of the world I go to, people are like, the what? You know, and who looks at snowflakes? I mean, how many of us, does anyone look at all the snowflakes? I guess Krishna must. You know, if I was God, I would just have like a snowflake making machine. They'd all be the same. You know? Who's he making them all different for? And each grain of sand, you know, if you look at a grain of sand under a high-powered microscope, you can Google it when you go home. Grains of sand. They're beautiful, and they're all different. And that's just a material thing that nobody cares about. So what to speak of the soul? We are all eternally different. And when that means that we're different, that means we have a somewhat different relationship with Krishna. The particular mix of rasa we have in our particular personality, no other jiva has that. in this pastime of Lord Brahma, Sanatana Goswami comments on it. I believe it's in 10:14:53. I should memorize this because I bring it up all the time, but I always forget to go back and memorize it, but I think it's 10:14:53, where he says that the Vishnu forms were each displaying an unlimited number of opulences, and he said that there was also an unlimited number of jivas worshiping each Vishnu form, and each jiva is attracted to a particular one of those unlimited qualities of the Lord. So when we say Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti, we're saying he's enjoying this unlimited variation of tastes with an unlimited number of living entities. Do you all understand this? You know, each of us living entities, we have a particular taste in our relationship with Krishna. So imagine if you were eating a meal with 100 different kinds of pizza and 100 different kinds of ice cream, all at the same time. And you could taste each flavor of each thing. There's this one Christian minister who had a near-death experience. He got into a head-on collision with a truck, and he was pronounced dead for an hour and a half. And at that time, he said he left his body, and he went to some higher realm. And in that realm, he said what he remembers most is the music. He said there were thousands and thousands of voices glorifying God. And even though they were each glorifying God differently, they harmonized. Normally, if we did that, normally if each of us sang our own song at the same time, it wouldn't harmonize. They said there it harmonized, but not only did it harmonize, he said he was able to hear both the harmonization and he was able to pick out each individual unique song. So that's something like what Krishna is enjoying on an unlimited scale. And when we unite Krishna and his energy of pleasure, we also experience that. We experience what Krishna is experiencing. We enjoy through Krishna. So Krishna's energy of pleasure, Srimati Radharani, she's not only giving pleasure to Krishna, but she is nourishing all the living entities. Now, what do we do that brings together Krishna and his energy of pleasure? Any service, any devotional service that we do. What particularly, though? Anything we do, if our mood is to please Krishna, if it's Anukulena Krishna Anushilana, if our mood is to please Krishna. Certainly preaching, a mood of surrender for sure, but there's something I hope we all do every day. Chanting. What are we doing when we're chanting? Hare Krishna. What are we doing when we're saying Hare Krishna? We're uniting Krishna and his energy of pleasure. Do you understand? And if we chant Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and we're chanting with this mood of trying to unite Krishna and his pleasure energy, then it is possible through chanting Anandam Buddhivardhanam to have this expanding ocean of bliss. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in commenting on Anandam Buddhivardhanam, he says that although the jiva is finite and has a finite ability for pleasure, which is what we've all experienced, yes? Our ability for pleasure is very finite. When we are connected with Krishna, we can experience pleasure infinitely through Krishna. So here in this verse, Raghunath Das Goswami says that Radharani is superior to the demigoddesses. She outshines Rati, Gauri, and Leela and Sachi. So all the demigoddesses are worshiping her. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his commentary on this verse, has a lot of prayers to Srimati Radharani. In fact, there's so many wonderful prayers Bhaktivinoda has in general in his commentary on these verses on Manah Siksa. So not only could we learn to chant the Manah Siksa verses themselves, but so many different prayers that Bhaktivinoda's quoting in his commentary, and then Bhaktivinoda's own songs on the verses. So in this prayer Bhaktivinoda's quoting, he says, O Radhika, you are the moonlight of bliss for the white lotuses. The prayers he's quoting are almost throughout Manah Siksa, almost exclusively from Rupa Goswami. By the way, we're going to 12 or 12:30? Then another prayer that he quotes is, O Radhika, you have a fresh golden complexion, garments like a blue lotus, your braids are decorated with jewels and flowers, and your braid itself is like a snake. So Rupa Goswami had written this verse, and Sanatana Goswami didn't like it. He said, my dear brother, what have you written about Srimati Radharani? You've written that her braid is like a snake. This is not good. And then Sanatan went off and he was doing his bhajan and his chanting. So while he's chanting, he's seeing some group of young girls a little distance away, and they're talking and laughing. And he notices that there's a snake crawling up the back of one of the girls, and he says, oh, look, there's a girl, young girl, there's a snake on your back. And the girl turns around. When she turns around, she flips her braid, and she's laughing, and then the girls just suddenly disappear. So then Sanatan went back to his brother. He said, you're right. Radharani's braid is like a snake. Another one of the prayers he said is that Radharani is the darling of her father, Rishabhanu, that she defeats the pride of the newly married gopis. And then another prayer Bhakti Vinod quotes, again reminding us that to attain to the divine couple, we have to go through the devotees. He says, you should climb in the boat of the Sakhi's mercy and sail into the ocean of love, where you will find the lotus feet of the daughter of Rishabhanu, Radha. So this is our painting for this verse, that Radharani defeats the pride of the other gopis. And I think I mentioned that we sell prints of these at radharani.com. So this particular Leela has never before been illustrated. This is Krishna returning to Ras Leela. And this painting was done exactly according to the descriptions in the Bhagavatam and the commentaries and the works of the Acharyas. If you have the small book, the descriptions in the back. So here we see Krishna's with the 8 principal gopis. These are not Radha's Astasakis. Like in Mayapur, we have Radharani and her 8 principal friends. But these are the 8 principal gopis. So here we have, oh wait, my laser pointer on again. So here we have the right-wing gopis. These are the 4 right-wing gopis. And these are the 4 left-wing gopis. So the left-wing gopis, well, Shamala is a left-wing gopi, but she's, the left-wing gopis, they have more of a mood of Krishna is mine. I mean, both the gopis, they feel Krishna is mine and I am Krishna's. That's the perfection of I and mine. I am Krishna's and Krishna is mine. So all of the residents of Vrindavan, they feel both. I am Krishna's and Krishna is mine. But these left-wing gopis, they particularly feel Krishna is mine. And you see Shamala here, with she's taken Krishna's left arm and put it on her shoulder like she owns him. Then even more so, Srimati Radharani, who's angry. Why is she angry? Because Krishna had left Ras Leela. Not only left Ras Leela, he left her also. So she's a little angry. Even though he's come back, she's still angry. Not like, oh, you come back, now it's all fixed. And she's standing at a distance. She's waiting for Krishna to go to her, because her mood is, you belong to me, you have to come to me. And Lalita is taking advantage of the fact that Krishna's not looking at her to stare at Krishna. And Vishaka doesn't want Krishna to go away again, so she's captured him with her eyes and closed her eyes and is meditating on him. But you notice that the left-wing gopis, they're all at a distance waiting for Krishna to go to them, whereas the right-wing gopis have come to Krishna. So Chandravali, Padma, Saibya, who's holding Krishna's betel nut, and Bhadra, who's not mentioned directly in the verses, but mentioned by the Acharyas. So this is the second of the 2 verses on what we should meditate on, that we're meditating on Krishna, Radharani, Vishaka, Lalita, Govardhan, Radhakund, and particularly on Srimati Radharani. And as we said yesterday, this meditation is a template. So for the beginners in Krishna consciousness who haven't awakened their mood for Krishna, they're having general meditation on Krishna with his associates. And for those who awaken their own mood, of course they meditate on all the associates, but particularly on the ones who are in their mood. Not only the ones who are in their mood. The gopis also love Mother Yasoda. and Subal and so forth, and the cows, but particularly on those who are in their mood. And then Raghunath Das Goswami, his particular leader being Srimati Radharani, he has this special verse for her. So now we're going on to the last verse on the path, and this is the verse dealing with action. So after we've achieved those 3 benedictions, mercy to conquer wickedness, revelation of our eternal form and service, and the shelter of Srimati Radharani, we have these 2 verses on meditating, and now we're going to have this verse on action. And although this is put here at the end of Manah Siksa, for those who've already achieved spiritual perfection, you'll notice that all of these action points can be done also by somebody on their first week in Krishna consciousness. Okay? Saman Shri Rupena Smara Viva Sharadha Giri Britor Raje Sakshat Seva Labana Vidhaye Tad Gana Yujo Tad Ijakya Dhyana Shravana Nati Panchamritamidam Dayam Nitya Govardhanam Anudinam Tvam Bhajamanaha. O mind, you should every day drink the 5 nectars, worship, glories, meditation, listening to divine pastimes, and offering obeisances, and worship Govardhan according to the rules. In this way, follow the instructions of Sri Rupa and obtain the direct service of Sri Sri Radha Giridhari, who are captivated by the God of amorous love in the company of their associates in Vraja. So he says we should drink these 5 nectars every day. In other words, we're not to do them ritualistically. We should be doing them like drinking 5 nectars. So these are worship, glorification, meditation, hearing divine pastimes, and offering obeisances. So these 5 nectars that we're to drink every day are worship, glorification, meditation, hearing divine pastimes, offering obeisances, 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 worship, glorification, meditation, hearing divine pastimes, and offering obeisances. In his song on this verse, Bhaktivinoda writes of each of these in relationship to Govardhan. So worship at Govardhan, glorification at Govardhan, meditation at Govardhan. In his commentary, Bhaktivinoda writes about these stages of meditation. So he writes about them referencing Jiva Goswami's Sandarbhas, Bhaktivinoda also writes about the stages of meditation in the Jaiva Dharma and Harinam Chintamani. Where does Srila Prabhupada write about stages of meditation? Nectar of Instruction text. Eight. Do we have any Maha sweets here for prizes? Flowers, something? All right, so this is your next home fun assignment. Go home and read Nectar of Instruction, text 8. There, Srila Prabhupada is quoting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And so, although Bhaktivinoda's description of the stages of meditation in this commentary is a little different than what's in the Nectar of Instruction, I'm going to go through the stages in the Nectar of Instruction. Now, I teach this as a separate seminar, so I spend, hour and a half just on this topic. So this is going to be another topic that I'm just covering in brief, and if you feel that I'm not doing enough, you're right. So we're just going over this briefly. It's not quite as technical as the inner and outer path of raga, but anyway. So the first stage of meditation is hearing. It's hearing. Why is hearing the stage of meditation? Because we don't meditate on something we've made up. We meditate on what we've heard. Also, we should be hearing in a meditative way. So hearing, reading. We shouldn't be hearing and reading just for information, just to pass a trivia test. That's not what it's about. It's not that at the time of death, the Yamadutas are going to come along and say, all right, it was Adamoya, Manamoya, and what's the next stage? Bzzz. Sorry, another birth for you. So it's not like that. That's not why we're reading. We're reading in order to meditate. Just like a person will read an ordinary book, or see an ordinary film, and they feel like they're getting to know the characters, isn't it? That's why television shows week after week with the same characters are very popular. Or movie sequels. You see one movie about Superman, another movie about Superman, another movie about Superman. Or that's why they have the same newscasters every night. You start to feel that you know them. Of course you don't, but you feel like that. You feel like I know this person and I can trust them. You have to have some feeling of rapport. So the same way that we feel like we get to know the newscasters or the characters in a movie or a book or TV show, we should be reading the scriptures to get to know the personalities so we can think about them. Right? Just like people are thinking about what's on TV and movies, isn't it? They're thinking about it, they're talking about it. What do you think is going to happen next week? I've seen teenagers do this with video game characters. They're playing some video game over the internet with their friends, and they're talking about their characters. Oh, did you see what that character did? So we should be studying the scriptures like this for meditation. So hearing is the first stage of meditation. Second stage is accepting what we've read, where what we read really starts to become internalized. We start to have some realization that Krishna and his associates are present in the pages of the Shastra. It's not an ordinary book. So we start accepting. Third stage is remembering. Third stage of meditation is remembering. And this is a stage where things start to happen that we normally think of as meditation. Now, often at this stage, a person has an intuitive, though not realized, idea of their eternal relationship with Krishna. This third stage, remembering, is on the platform of the mind. Now, I find that many devotees are hesitant to use their mind to think of Krishna. which is quite odd. Because what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Twice, at the end of the 9th chapter, and again near the end of the 18th chapter, what does he say? Man mana baba mad bhakto. Man mana, right? Man, saying use your mind. What does he say in the 7th chapter? Maya shaktam mana parta. Again, he's saying mana. Use your mind. What does Rupa Goswami say is the beginning of sadhana bhakti? Always think of Krishna. If we're not at least trying to always think of Krishna, we're not even in sadhana bhakti at all. We're in Krishna Karmani, Bhagavad Gita 12:10. Of course, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, commenting on Rupa Goswami, saying always. He says, for the beginner, that means at least once a day, or at least daily. I'm going to think about Krishna. So using the mind. If you want to look into this more, I recommend you go to Bhagavatam 3:28-34, Bhagavatam 3:28-34. In the purport, Prabhupada says, in the beginning, the mind is employed in attracting the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the beginning, the mind is employed in attracting the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, this third stage of remembering using the mind has 5 sub-stages. Okay, that's 5 parts. Third stage, part 1, interrupted. Interrupted. You see the guy has his beads in his phone. Interrupted. So you remember Krishna, and then you think of something else. You remember Krishna, you think of something else. You remember Krishna, you think of something else. Unsystematic. No connection between one remembrance of Krishna and another. Third stage, part 2, uninterrupted. Now, by the way, our mind is very good at uninterrupted. Our mind naturally flows from one thing to another, to another, to another. Right? Oh, I haven't called my sister in a week. Oh, and I remember she gave me that pair of shoes. Oh goodness, where are they? They're in the back of my closet. Oh, and I need to clean out my closet. Maybe I could do it this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Oh, but I'm supposed to do this errand for my friend at 3 o'clock. Yeah, and I'm going to see her tomorrow. And your mind goes, yes? This is the expertise of the mind. So when you do this with Krishna, do this with Krishna. Oh, look at Krishna's lotus feet. They have ankle bells on them. Oh yeah, Krishna's feet left footprints. And everybody was following the footprints when they went to Kaliya's lake. And they were so careful to follow the footprints. Even though they were all crying and they were making the ground muddy, they were walking around the footprints to go to Kaliya's lake. And Krishna was dancing in Kaliya's lake. Oh, Krishna also sometimes dances on Govardhan Hill. And Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. And when Krishna lifted, and your mind goes like that. So uninterrupted is when your mind is going from one pastime to another to another. That with thinking of Krishna in one way, you start immediately thinking of Krishna in another way. But we know even when we have uninterrupted thoughts, they may not be concentrated. Right? You all know we can be doing more than one thing at once, right? So maybe I'm driving my car, I'm cooking, but I'm also having uninterrupted thoughts about something else. So third stage, part 3, is when these uninterrupted thoughts are also concentrated. They're concentrated, they're focused. And going to 3:28-34, this is from the verse itself. Lord Kapila Dev says, the mind is used as a means to attract the Lord as one attracts a fish to a hook. All right. Then we have third stage, part 4. Third stage, part 4. It expands. So up till now, the meditation is happening mostly during our meditation time. What's our meditation time? Right, japa, kirtan, bhagavatam class, Gayatri. In this third stage, part 4, the meditation is overflowing into our life. Now that might happen sometimes before that, but we've got this uninterrupted, concentrated meditation happening during japa, gayatri, puja, etc. And that starts overflowing, so we start getting uninterrupted, concentrated meditation when we're driving our car, when we're at work, when we're in the kitchen, etc. Third stage, part 5, is the samadhi of the mind. The samadhi of the mind. By the way, samadhi, if we look at this word, samadhi, di means to meditate on, to know, and sama means same. So samadhi means when one is living in realization that Krishna is everywhere. That everything is Krishna's energy, Krishna is everywhere. But this is still on the platform of the mind. Going back to 328.34 purport, when the mind forcibly is engaged upon the form of the Lord, this is called nirbija yoga, or lifeless yoga, for the yogi does not automatically engage in the personal service of the Lord. In other words, even at this point, third stage, part 5, where one is in samadhi, it's an act of will. It's still a sadhana. Does everybody understand? It's still a sadhana being done with the mind. Although it's flowing automatically, it's still a practice being done with the mind. Fourth stage, spiritual samadhi. Spiritual samadhi. Very important, mental samadhi does not become spiritual samadhi. It attracts it. It doesn't become it. Just like Prema Tarangini Devi Dasi was writing me, please come to Naperville. Her writing me didn't turn into me, it attracted me. You understand? If someone's thinking of you, you may want to visit them, but their thinking of you doesn't become you. So at this fourth stage, the Lord and his associates and the spiritual world enter the heart. This is when one has spiritual television in the heart. And here, one's spiritual form and service, which up until this time were intuitively understood and mentally conceived, at this time become fully revealed by the grace of the Lord. So at this time, a person, they're still living in the world, but their consciousness is in the spiritual world. And this also tends to be gradual, that it's gradually revealed. Again, going to 328.34, in the beginning, the mind is employed in attracting the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but in the higher stages, there is no question of using the mind. When one is constantly thinking of the Lord, that is called living yoga. Jiva Goswami, in discussing these stages of meditation, says that the Lord enters our consciousness through the pathway of our meditation. In other words, by using our mind in meditation, we create a pathway by which the Lord and his associates enter and are fully revealed in the heart. Fifth stage, the Lord comes out of our heart and we see him face to face. Which of course reminds us of Dhruva Maharaj, that where it said in the Bhagavatam 4.9.2, the form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning, and in which Dhruva, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus Dhruva was perturbed and his meditation broke. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present, just as he'd been seeing the Lord in his heart. So up to now, I've been giving you the metaphors of Raghunath Das Goswami and Bhakti Vinod, but now I'm going to give you my metaphor. I hope you like it. If you don't like it, it's okay, just my metaphor. For the stages of meditation. First stage is hearing. This is like you take your milk and you put it in a pot. Second stage, accepting. It's like you turn your fire on under the milk. Third stage, remembering. Your milk starts to cook. Third stage, part 1, interrupted remembering. You stir your milk, you start the dal, you stir your milk, you cut the vegetables, you stir your milk, you answer the phone. Third stage, part 2, uninterrupted remembering. You're stirring your milk all the time. Third stage, part 3, concentrated, remembering your milk has gotten thick. Third stage, part 4, expanded, concentrated, uninterrupted. Your milk has started to expand. Third stage, part 5, it's fully cooked, mental samadhi. Fourth stage, spiritual samadhi. I think somebody added sugar to this milk. Fifth stage, burfi. Krishna appears in front of you face to face. I have found as I travel the world, nobody makes burfi anymore. And so a lot of people just look at this metaphor and go, huh? Hearing divine pastimes at Govardhan, offering obeisances at Govardhan, Bhaktivinoda said every day we should bathe Krishna with these 5 nectars. What are those 5 nectars again? Worship, glorification, meditation, hearing divine pastimes, and offering obeisances. Raghunath Das Goswami said that we should do these 5. When should we do them? Every day. Anudina, every day. And the mood in which we should do them. What did he say the mood was? Like doing what? I know that was a long time ago. We talked about meditation for a while, so everybody's forgotten. He said, don't you guys all love Kali Yuga? At least we can go back to Godhead just by chanting, even if we have no memory. Sorry for those of you who hated grammar. Okay. So he said we should do these. This should be our mood. We want to do these with a mood like we're drinking nectar. Okay? Can you give me some other verbs and objects of the verbs that would convey the mood in which we should do these? Huh? What? Relishing what? Well, we have 5 nectars here. There's got to be something that there's 5 different kinds. But that's one of them. That's what this is. Give me a metaphor. Five kinds of prasadam. Okay, relishing 5 kinds of prasadam. What else? What else could we say? But that's one of them. Chant as if you were drinking nectar. Chant as if you were eating burfi. Chant as if you were dancing. All right. You're dancing 5, but you'd have to dance 5 different steps, 5 different dances. What else? Come on, it's the morning. It's a weekend morning. Huh? Japa? That's meditation. It's one of them. No, it's eating, relishing, eating. Relishing is just a fancy Hare Krishna way of saying eating. We should have a glossary we give to new people, you know. How to talk like an ISKCON devotee. Yes? Well, hearing what? Hearing 5 what? But the pat's there. See, you want to worship, glorify, meditate, hear divine pastimes, and offer obeisances as if you were singing what? Singing different ragas. Yes, okay. Some more. Acting in 5 dramas?
I don't know if everybody would like that, but okay. I would like that, but I don't know if everybody would like that. I had one person in Mayapur said, like cleaning 5 rooms. I'm going to chant my rounds like I'm cleaning the bathroom. That didn't work for me. But I really love this. Oh, my God. What? Yeah, but give me a verb and an object. We're looking for a metaphor here. Seeing what? Yeah, yes? But that's one of them. A little specific, come on, yes. Oh, okay. Krishna would like that. He's very playful. What? But that's meditating. All right, but Raghunath Das Goswami is giving us a metaphor. He says, drink these 5 nectars every day. So, like we could say, eat these 5 kinds of tastes every day. Dance these 5 steps every day. Sing these 5 ragas every day. Act in these 5 dramas every day. Play these 5 games every day. Is that really relishable for you? Oh, wow, I get to follow an instruction today. Yay! Can you give me 5 instructions I can follow? I don't know. I'm a really rebellious American, and that would not work for me at all. It's like, oh, I have an instruction I have to follow. Oh, all right. Smelling 5 flowers or 5 perfumes or incense. Do you really enjoy that? That's there. That's there. Oh, that's good. All right. I like that one. I think that's one of the best I've heard. Do you really enjoy that? Is that like really relishable for you? Oh, I get to light a lamp today. I mean, is that like really exciting? If you really like cooking. I mean, someone else once suggested like meeting 5 friends. Like painting 5 pictures, okay, if you really like art, yeah? Ooh, traveling to 5 different places. Some people would really like that, some people would really not like that. Listening to 5 different melodies. So this is the mood. Raghunath Das Goswami here is writing of the mood. In other words, we should not be doing these 5 things mechanically or ritualistically. It's not like, okay, it's time for my let's see, I'm going to meditate on Krishna now. All right. Time to read. All right. Cut off for obeisances. But it should be, I'm drinking nectar. I'm meeting my 5 favorite friends. I'm traveling to 5 exciting places. I'm smelling 5 fragrances. I'm hearing 5 ragas. I'm dancing 5, whatever gives you relish in your life. So we should do these in that way. So how many of us worship Krishna every day? Who worships Krishna every day? How many of us glorify Krishna every day? How many of us meditate on Krishna every day? Okay. How many of us hear divine pastimes every day? Okay, that's the easiest one. All you need to do to hear divine pastimes every day, you just have to have one of these. Okay, it's really easy. You all have one of those, right? Okay. And how many of us offer obeisances every day? All right, there you go. And to do it every day with relish, with enthusiasm. as if I was meeting my 5 best friends, or eating my 5 favorite flavors of ice cream, or going to my 5 wonderful places, or drinking 5 nectars. So also in this verse, Raghunath Das Goswami says that we should worship Govardhan according to the rules. So of course, Raghunath Das Goswami had a very personal relationship with Govardhan. This is a photograph of Raghunath Das Goswami's own Govardhan Shila, which was given to him by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly. Bhaktivinoda in the commentary writes, Lord Chaitanya, the moon in the sky-like heart of the devotees, personally gave his Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami. And of course, this is what we put on the cover of the book, although one devotee asked me if it was a piece of chocolate. So, seriously. So why Govardhan? Because here Radha and Krishna have their divine activities with all of their friends. So we're going to do a little meditation on Govardhan, and this is from the Gopal Champu of Jiva Goswami. Those of you who are familiar with the Archan Marg, the deity worship, you know that there's 16 upacharas, there's 16 items that are offered in worship. I haven't counted these, I should count them. I think here Jiva Goswami is giving us about 25 different items, but how Govardhan is offering worship to Krishna. And this is from Gopal Champu, starting with 177. With many charming jewel boulders, the mountain named Govardhan offers a sitting place for Lord Krishna. With the cooing of many birds, Govardhan offers Lord Krishna a welcome. With its swiftly flowing streams filled with lotus flowers, durva grass, and shamaka seeds, Govardhan offers foot wash. With limitless new shoots of darba grass growing in deer hoofprint puddles, Govardhan offers arghya, or hand wash. With ponds where jati, lavanga, and kakola grow on the shores, Govardhan offers achman. With fresh yogurt, ghee, and honey, Govardhan offers madhuparka. With water from a clear spring at its summit, Govardhan offers bathing water. With golden tree bark fine like silk, Govardhan offers garments. With fragrant powders, sandal paste, and red and white minerals, Govardhan offers fragrant ointment. With blooms of malati vines and other vines, Govardhan offers pleasing flowers. With the dust raised by the Surabhi cow's hooves, Govardhan offers incense. With the glistening of its many jewels, Govardhan offers a glittering lamp even in the daytime. With charming gunja, peacock feathers, clusters of flowers, and many other pleasing objects, Govardhan offers ornaments. With pleasing fruits and roots, Govardhan offers delicious meals. With cool flower-scented water mixed with fragrant and pure tulsi leaves, Govardhan offers water to rinse the mouth. With champaka flowers and other glorious blooming flowers moving in the gentle breeze, Govardhan offers arati. With budding nakula flowers and other trees, Govardhan offers a graceful parasol. With blooming branches moving in the breezes from the Malaya hills, Govardhan offers the service of fanning Lord Krishna. With the dancing of the cooing peacocks, Govardhan offers a festival of dancing. When, attracted by Krishna's flute music carried by the breeze, a gopi comes, Govardhan prepares a soft couch of flowers. With the cuckoo's cooing, Govardhan makes sweet singing. Gazing at Lord Krishna and performing these services to please him, Govardhan Hill confirms his reputation as the best of the Lord's servants. So also in this verse, Raghunath Das Goswami says that if we drink these 5 nectars every day and worship Govardhan according to the rules, then we will attain direct service to the lotus feet of the divine couple. Bhaktivinoda says in his commentary, this direct service happens in stages. He says first one offers service to the Lord from a distance with the assistance. Then gradually, after serving at a distance, one gets service that brings one closer to the intimate associates, and then one finally serves the divine couple directly. Because this is the inner path of spontaneous devotion, even at this stage, one will continue to drink Charanamrita, wear tilak, wear the deity's garlands, and so forth. So we've completed the path, and now we get our benediction. Manah Siksa Daikada Shakavarame Tan Madhuraya Gira Gayat Yuchai Samadigata Sarvatayatiya Sayuta Shri Rupanuga Iha Bhavan Gokulavane Jano Radha Krishna Tulaba Janaratnam Salabate. Becoming a follower of Sri Rupa and his companions, one who with a sweet voice loudly recites these 11 supreme verses which give instructions to the mind and strives to understand all of their meanings completely, obtains the incomparable jewel of worshiping Sri Sri Radha Krishna in the forest of Gokula. So here is this 12th verse of benediction written on a leaf book, as Raghunath Das Goswami would have done. He says you get the jewels of service. So these are Krishna's jewels. Krishna likes to wear earrings like dolphins or sharks or makaras. And he says for the 3rd time to follow Rupa. Rupa Goswami, of course, received instruction from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wrote many books like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And of course, in addition, we are following Raghunath Das Goswami, who wrote this Manah Siksa on the bank of Radhakund. Now, in this particular verse, in the commentary to this verse, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives two variant Bengali translations. So in each of his commentary, he also gives a Bengali translation, but here he gives 2 different ones, one in prose and one in poetry. In the one in prose, he says that if you chant these verses anywhere, now if you chant these verses in Gokula, you will attain Radha Krishna, and the one in poetry, he says if you chant these verses anywhere, you will attain Radha Krishna who are in Gokula. And he also has many verses glorifying the whole Mathura Mandala, the place of the pastimes of the Lord. And in one of these verses, he says that Srimati Radharani has a pride about Vrindavan, and her pride is that this Vrindavan is mine. So this is the splendid instructions to the mind by Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Commentary by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Of course, we understand anything of the Acharyas through Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'd like to show you just a very quick review of the whole Manah Siksa. Is that all right? Is that good for everybody? And then I have a 5-minute video I want to show you, and then I got to take off the laser 1 second. Then we're going to have, no, it's not letting me do it. Come on. Oh, I lost my cursor. Maybe I can't do it. There we go. Where is it? Got it and disappeared, and got it and disappeared. It's where? No, it's on another screen. Oh, that's my problem. Do you think that's the problem? Maybe. If I do that and duplicate again, will I get my cursor back? Yes, I got my cursor back. Aha! We love computers. Sometimes. Sometimes not. I guess I'm not going to show you a review. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you, Krishna. The technology gods were in our favor today. Okay, so this is a review. So Manah Siksa is important among other reasons because it's a padati, it's a step-by-step guide to the inner path of spontaneous devotion. It establishes that Srila Bhaktisanta and Srila Prabhupada taught a bona fide system of spontaneous devotion. Although every step is consecutive on the path, the first 3 verses, can you put that one paper back down? The first 3 verses deal with qualification, the next 4, thank you, next 4 deal with the obstacles, then the next 4 deal with the steps in perfection, and finally a benediction. The first verse is about attachment to gurus, diksha and shiksha, seeing them as our friend, to the process of surrender to the lotus feet of the divine couple, to the holy places, to the devotees who always meditate on Vrindavan, to the serious practitioners of any bona fide tradition, to the brahmanas who teach for an ashram, to the mantras, and to the holy name. Our painting here is of Nandagram. In addition to having attachment, one has to make an effort, not rely on luck, and always give up pride. Verse 2, we're told to give up attachment to the identity of Dharma and Adharma, and instead to identify as Krishna's agent, to see Lord Chaitanya as the same as the son of Nandamarj, our painting showing Krishna as the son of Nandamarj, and to see the Guru as Krishna's friend. In the 3rd verse, we're to have patience life after life, like Rukmini, to follow Swarup Damodar, Rupa, and Sanatan, and to at least desire to awaken our relationship with Krishna. In the 1st verse, we have the obstacles of speech. Mundane speech, which is like a prostitute, talks of liberation, which is like a tigress, even attachment to speaking about enjoying the opulences of the Lord. We conquer this with a jewel of the service mood in Vrindavan. Then we have the obstacles of action, where we're talking properly, but our actions don't match our word. These are like thieves on the highway of devotion who have ropes made of wicked deeds that they've used to bind us around the neck. We get free of this by remembering the cheating crane, and we call out for the help not of the killer of Baka, but of the devotees of the killer of Baka, devotees who are themselves free from hypocrisy. Calling out to them helplessly, they free us from these ropes. Then we have the obstacles of the mind, that even if on the gross level all of our enemies are killed, we may think we're getting clean, but if we have a burning in our mind, we're actually bathed in donkey urine, which means that there's a disconnect between our actions and our motives and mentality. To get free of this, we bathe our mind in the ocean of love that's at the feet of Gandharvika Giridhari by asking for revelation along with courage to see, understand, and act on the revelation. Then Krishna reveals. We then choose Krishna. Then Krishna removes the problem. Then we have the obstacle of the heart, the dead dog of honor and prestige, the dancing disloyal woman who's the desire for honor and prestige, who has a lover of deceit or pretentiousness. And this is wanting to be honored for being a devotee. We get free of this problem of the heart by serving the generals in Krishna's army, at which point our heart becomes like a beautiful city into which the chaste ladies of love will enter. We then come to the turning point of Manah Siksa, where we ask for mercy to drive away wickedness, glowing nectar to drink, which is revelation of our eternal service, and the shelter of Srimati Radharani. Having achieved those 3 benedictions, we then meditate on Krishna as the moon of the Vrindavan forest, and the Lord of Srimati Radharani, Radharani as his dearmost object of love, Vishaka as the Guru, Lalita as the confidential friend, Govardhan and Radhakund, which gives the vision and love for the divine couple. And particularly one meditates on Radharani, who outshines the demigoddesses, who is the moonlight of bliss for the white lotuses and defeats the pride of all of the other gopis. Along with that meditation, every day we drink the 5 nectars of worship: glorification, meditation, hearing divine pastimes, and offering obeisances, worshiping Govardhan, as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das Goswami. And if we chant these mantras every day in a sweet voice, then we will attain the divine service to the couple in the forest of Gokula. Okay, so I have a short video that I'd like to show you.
interested in helping with our project, please just let me know. Or you can go to radharani.com. If anybody has any questions, comments, additions, subtractions, we have 10 minutes. Yes? Then I may not answer. Can someone get that? You have to hit it twice. Yeah.
You've been studying and teaching this book. Obviously, you know, it's such a profound book. What type of realizations you can share with us as you know, have gone through many times and meditating?
Well, it's really interesting. I really started on this journey with, if you read in the acknowledgement section, this journey really started with a seminar Satyananda Maharaj gave at the Govardhan retreat on Manah Siksa. And he attended my classes on Manah Siksa in Serbia, I think it was. And he asked me, he said, how is Manah Siksa teaching you? And I said that what I found was that, you know, I've been doing traveling and preaching now for, I guess, 11 years. That I always found in the past that after a few months of changing location every few days, I was kind of tired. Like after 3 or 4 months, I'm like, okay, give me a week break. But I found that that didn't happen with teaching this book. And I mentioned that to Maharaj. And I said, somehow it seems to be very different when you go very deeply into one book. And he said, yeah, that's probably why the Acharyas have said, instead of reading a lot of books superficially, it's good to go into one book very deeply. So that's been kind of interesting. And as you really get into something on a very deep level and you teach it over and over and over again, you get to the point that you go beyond the just the information. You understand? You start to be able to get, it's like anything. It's, you know, if you practice dance steps, after a while you have the mechanics of it and you get more into the mood. So I found that to be very much the case, although I've also had that with other books like Bhagavad Gita. I found it to be very challenging for myself personally, that I found that what I was teaching also would be put in front of my face for myself. You know, it was very early on in teaching Manah Siksa, second or third place that I went to, that devotee called me and was talking for 2 hours mostly about himself and how wonderful he was, and how terrible everybody else was, and how uniquely qualified he was. And, you know, and I got off the phone and I thought, I wonder if I do that. You know, I wonder to what extent I'm engaging in this prostitute of mundane talks. I thought this devotee didn't realize he was doing it. I'm certain that he didn't realize he was doing it. And I started really listening. Well, what do I talk about? So I found that in teaching something that it kept being put in front of me. Another interesting thing is when I was in Vrindavan this last time, somehow or other I was offered more facility personally than I had ever happened to me before. And I felt like the eternal residents of the Dham were really happy that I was doing something with Raghunath Das Goswami. You know, a lot of places in the Dham are actually in the name of Raghunath Das Goswami. Especially in the Radhakund Shamakund area, things are in his name. And I thought, you know, when you're serving the acharyas like that, I mean, it was just interesting that people came forward and offered help in different ways that I just had never experienced before. So those are some things. But I found it to be a lot of fun. I mean, producing the book was sometimes extremely difficult. Hare Krishna. There were times that it was just unbelievably difficult to get everything together, and it was a very complicated project. As complicated as Learn to Read, though, in a very different way, where you're trying to coordinate all these different people and like that. Was that all right for an answer? And it's interesting because this is the end of my Manah Siksa tour, and I hadn't taught. The last time I taught this was almost 2 months ago in Seattle. So I'd had a 2-month break from teaching it. I'm working on the next books.
And so it was just so wonderful to get into again. I was I was like, I really love doing this. I really, really love sharing the wisdom and the insights of our acharyas with the devotees. I was just realizing how much I personally enjoy it. Yes?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have one comment and one question. Really thankful for your lecture, and especially two takeaways from all of this workshop was, I think during second day you mentioned this one important point, if you take during the workshop, that is to please, not to please Krishna and not to please others, something to that effect. So that was something very striking for me. And
I've had a number of people comment to me that one thing is a humongous life changer. It basically will remove all the angst, disappointment, frustration, etc. that we have with other people. And it makes every interaction service. Was there something else you wanted to say also?
And the second point was, you also mentioned yesterday to pay attention to the sounds that you are listening, and in a back order you asked us to. That was also something very important, and I think it's very important for me to recognize what are all the kind of sounds I'm hearing on a daily basis, because that seems to have a very unknown and a subtle effect within my consciousness.
I found that myself also to be very important. As I said, I got that phone call from that devotee. I mean, I'd only taught Manah Siksa maybe twice at that point. And just that awareness, what am I hearing and what am I saying? What are the sounds that I'm surrounding myself with? It was kind of shocking to me. And the children have all been so good. Very nicely well-behaved children. Most of the time, but you never get 100% with children. Anybody else?
Mataji, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
You mentioned that spiritual samadhi and
mental samadhi are
mental
different.
samadhi.
Yeah.
I think if I heard it correct, you explained that in the mental samadhi there is at least a glimpse of one's true identity or something.
That may happen before that. Generally, the acharyas say that happens as soon as one gets to the stage of remembering.
Can you elaborate on how, like, what differentiates between the spirit? If one is, how is it different from mental speculation or something like that?
Mental speculation is, I'll tell you, I never knew what mental speculation was. I never really quite got what Prabhupada was talking about until I took a course in graduate school on the philosophy of science. Wow. That was completely mental speculation. Maybe we're this, no, maybe our identity's this. Is the world real or is it unreal? Or maybe it's partially real, or maybe we're interacting with it this way. How do we know anything's true? How do we know what we know? Are we really interacting with, what's the interaction between the senses and the sense objects? They were trying to do Sankhya. They were really trying to do Sankhya. What's the relationship between the self, the body, the senses, the sense objects, what's real, what's not real, how do we know anything? But they were all just wildly guessing. It was just absolute, maybe it's like this. No, maybe. Thankfully, it was one of those teachers who pretty much gave you an A for showing up. So after the first couple classes, I just brought Narottama Das Thakur's Prarthana and sat in the back and learned some songs. I don't think she ever read my final paper either. Gave it an A, but I don't think she read it. So that's mental speculation. I don't think most devotees do mental speculation. If what you're asking me is what does it mean to have some intuitive idea of your relationship with Krishna even though it's not fully realized, is that what you're asking? So speculation would be you read the books and you say, oh, you know, it says here the gopis are the highest, so I like to be the highest in general, and so I think I'll pick that. But when I was a kid, I liked playing with my friends, so I think I'll be a cowherd boy. That's mental speculation. We're working totally on the platform of the mind and the intelligence. Whereas the other, it's something, we have some material idea. Just like I was one time in a place called Bloemfontein, which means Fountain of Roses, in South Africa. And there was, I don't think we have a center there anymore, but there was a couple there, husband and wife, who were running a center. Sometimes we think childhood is so easy, It was so easy when I was a child. I didn't have bills to pay. Anyway, so they were running a center where they also had a restaurant, and the wife was cooking in the morning, and she was cooking in the mid-morning, and she was cooking in the middle of the day, and she was cooking in the early afternoon, in the mid-afternoon, the late afternoon. All day she was in the kitchen, and she was always smiling. Yeah. And after 2 or 3 days being there, I had a spontaneous feeling I would like to serve her. It wasn't intellectual. It wasn't like, gosh, she's working really hard, and I'm a guest here, and my mother taught me when I was a little girl that when you're around people who are working really hard and you're a guest, you're supposed to help them. It wasn't like that. It was a feeling. I want to help. It was an emotion. It was a desire. And sometimes we meet people, we have a feeling of friendship. Sometimes when you first meet someone, you're like, well, I'd really like to be their friend. Sometimes you know somebody for a while and you feel like, I want to be their friend. One time in an airport, we were all waiting to board. We were like in the line, and there was a little girl, maybe 3 years old, and she was wearing some kind of a costume, like a princess fairy costume. Really cute little girl. And the mother and father were very, very affectionate with this child. There was such affection between the parents and the child. And almost everybody in the line were just captivated by this scene of this adorable little child, 2-3 years old, in a costume with adoring parents. And we naturally felt a protective, caring, parental mood toward this child. Again, it wasn't intellectual. It wasn't like, I am a human adult, and that is a human child, and I am supposed to feel protective. It was just there. It just came. And the same with romantic feelings. I don't think that's it. Most men think, again, I'm a human male, that is a human female, and that is a young human female who has particular measurements, and therefore I should feel attracted. I don't think it works like that. There's just a feeling. There's just a feeling. I'm attracted. So that feeling will come with Krishna. Those are material examples, but something like that. There'll be a feeling with Krishna. Like one of my friends who's been a pujari forever and ever of Gaura Nitai. And one time she was on the altar serving the deities, and she was hearing the class from the temple room from the other side of the curtain, and the devotee just said, what service would you like to do for Krishna? And all of a sudden she had a feeling. I want to play ball in the fields. It just came, this feeling just came. And she said to me, is that okay? I'm still so contaminated. I said, well, it just came. So it will be like that. That a feeling will just come. It may come when you're chanting japa, it may come when you're reading the books. What Rupa Goswami says, and Prabhupada repeats in Nectar Devotion, is it may come as an attraction to particular lila. One may have some attraction to a particular lila, but you can't force it. It's like you can't force growing up. You grow up when you grow up. Some of us, matured at 12, some of us matured at 15, some of us matured at 17. And it happens when it happens, and all of a sudden you start thinking differently, yes? All of us who are over the age of 12, we remember that? And you start having different feelings, and you can't make them go away. You can't go back to being a child. You might try, but it doesn't work. I tried. I remember I was like 13 or something, and I took out my dolls, and I tried playing with them, and there was no juice in it, there was no rasa. I was like, this is boring. Why did I ever like it? So once that feeling awakens, it can't be, if it's genuine, it can't be repressed. You can't go back to what you were, and you feel very unqualified. If somebody says, I am now a senior devotee, and I've been chanting for many years, and I am now ready to imagine that I am a gopi, you know. It doesn't work like that. It's like you can't say, you know, well, I'm already 11 years old, you know, I should have puberty already, and I'm just going to pretend. It's not going to work. It has to, it's something that happens spontaneously. I mean, I know one senior devotee that told me that happened to him flying in an airplane over the United States. Who knows? It may not necessarily happen while, you know, you're at Radhakund chanting 64 rounds on Nirjal Ekadasi. Might not happen then. Might not. You know, who knows? Is that all right?
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Sure. And there was a question here? Well, you already asked, so this will be the last one, unless somebody's like, I have to ask a question.
Thank you, Mataji. As you are mentioning in verse 10 about how Krishna wants all of us to be happy, as
Yes.
we want all the parts of the body to be happy.
Yes.
This analogy kind of made me think this, Mataji. I just would like to hear from you. When there is a pain in a particular part of our body, the whole attention actually goes there until that
Therefore,
pain goes away.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
I'm sorry.
Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, the Lord, he's always Anandamaya Vyasat, he's always happy. But in the same way, you could say somehow that there's some pain for the fallen living entities. So therefore, he comes to preach. As he takes on the mood of compassion. Radharani is also the personification of compassion. He takes on the mood of compassion. And he comes. So thank you very much. This afternoon is going to be quite different at the Sunday feast. I'm going to be, Krishna willing, speaking on a chapter from the book that's in progress on Varna Dharma. And very different. Very, very different. And we're going to be looking at finding, and I don't have a PowerPoint or anything like that. I don't have any music. That's going to be on finding meaning and value in our work. So thank you very much. Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.